Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. We're going to jump back into Dark Life. Oh my gosh, we're getting so close to the end. It's so exciting. Um, Shade had basically ditched Gemma and just like broke her heart, um, saying he didn't want her around and he's going to leave with his gang and ditch her. So let me back up a page to kind of reread a little bit here for you. At once the outlaws piled into the Spectre, all except for Eel and Pretty, who remained on the sub's pectoral fin. Eel watched Gemma retreat to the far wall until Pretty redirected his attention with a cuff to the head. As they disappeared through the hatch, Shade headed for the moon pool without another word to Gemma or even a glance. Wait, I said, striding after him. I saved your life. You owe me. He paused. What do you want? Your word that you won't raid another homestead. The Commonwealth did you an injustice, not us. Oh, yeah, we'll take the word of an outlaw, Raj scoffed. I met Shade's gaze. I'll take Richard Strade's word. His lips twitched, but he held up his right hand. No homesteads, no settlers. There's something else. I crossed to Gemma, who remained stone-faced with her back pressed to the wall. Shade put a foot on the rim of the moon pool. My life ain't worth two favors. You're not doing it for me. I pulled a paper and pen from the pouch on her belt and strode to him. You're doing it for her. Sign this. I thrust them at Shade. He didn't move. What is it? An emancipation form. It releases her as a ward of the Commonwealth. When Shade raised his head, I jerked. Let me reread that. When Shade raised his hand, I jerked back, expecting a blow to knock me into tomorrow. Amusement glittered in his eyes, and he tugged the paper from my fingers. She going to stay with you? If she wants. I took the form back. As Shade pounced onto the Spectre's bumper, I checked the signature. Richard Strade. Written extra large. I whirled to show Gemma, but saw that she had slipped behind a rolling toolbox as if trying to make herself invisible. Gibby stepped forward. Gemma can live with me. Shade's black eyes found him, underscored by an even blacker scowl. Gibby shuffled back into the cluster of settlers, muttering, just trying to be a part of the solution. Inside the plexiglass dome, the gang of young outlaws waved, their expressions ironic, as Shade slammed the hatch shut behind him. When the Spectre sank beneath the water, Gemma slid down the wall until she was hidden below the toolbox. Now what? Gibby asked. They really did shut it down, Cheryl said, standing in front of the closed elevator doors. The screen is dark and the button won't light up. As soon as the Spectre clears the station, Pa said, we get our subs and search for Doc. We all hitched our subs to the inner docking ring, Lars said. With the elevator busted, we can't get to the surface. Ma joined Pa at the window. Grimes said he would send back a posse of rangers. If they get here soon. Her words rolled off. She and Pa looked grim. I found Gemma behind the rolling toolbox with her arms wrapped around her legs. Are you okay? Her eyes pooled with tears as she shook her head. I want to be born into a new family. You don't have to be born into a family to be wanted. Stay here with us. You admitted you have a dark gift. Now all the settlers will leave. My throat tightened, but I forced myself to shrug as though it didn't matter. There won't be any more people like you, she said it like I was some exotic animal on the verge of extinction. You must hate me. That was a far cry from what I was feeling, but she didn't wait for me to reply. She went on, everyone here must hate me. Your parents, Zoe, Hewitt. Well, maybe not Hewitt. I smiled, though she was clearly serious. But when Hewitt finds out how awful it is on the top side, he'll hate me too. And then I leaned forward and brushed my lips against hers. Ew, gross. Instantly, her eyes went round with surprise, but she didn't pull away, so I pressed my mouth to hers the way I'd wanted to ever since I had found her in that derelict sub. My insides whirled like a comb jelly, sending off sparks as I savored the softness of her lips. Ew. When I finally set back on my heels, Gemma blinked. Thank you, she whispered. That was not what I had expected. I might not have much experience with girls, but I knew that thank you was a weird thing to say after a kiss. It is. I know you did it just to make me feel better, she went on, and it worked. I do feel better. But if I weren't the only girl down here, the only girl your age, I know you'd. This time I put my hand over her lips to stem the tide of words. I did it because I wanted to, and this was seemed like the only chance I would get. The only chance? Usually your mouth is moving. She shoved me and I toppled back with a laugh. Next time I'll know when you're about to kiss me and I'll shut up. How will you know? Because you glow. Is that so? I drifted towards her lips again. What am I thinking now? Ew, so gross. Her breath caught, but this time when I kissed her, she kissed back. The specter, Gibby shouted from across the room. Reluctantly, I stood. Gemma, however, drew her knees up as if she were going to stay behind the toolbox forever. I gave her a nudge. Shade was awful to you, so you wouldn't want to live with him. I know, she said in a flat voice. Not because he doesn't want you around. I pulled her to her feet. He wants what's best for you. We faced the enormous window. Outside, the specter hovered like a ghost ship. You don't know that for sure, she muttered. An eerie light flicked on in the specter's darkened plexidome. It was Shade, glowing like an apparition inside the sub. His eyes sought and found Gemma. For a moment, neither moved. Holding her in his gaze, Shade raised his fist, then touched it to his heart, and then vanished like a doused flame. Yeah, I do, I said softly. The specter shot away, and all that remained was its bubble trail. A loud crack broke the silence in the access deck. Did they just fire on the station? Ma gasped. Look! Gibby pointed to the window where a small harpoon trembled, embedded in the plexiglass. Around it, the window spiderwebbed with fractures. How could they shoot that from a sub? Cheryl cried. It's tiny. Hewitt ran closer. It's on the inside. I choked with realization. After Doc fell into the moon pool, he fired a spear gun at Shade but missed. He must have hit the window. So long as the point hasn't breached the exterior scale, we're fine. Pa hauled the toolbox to the window and climbed onto it. He peered through the fractured plexiglass to the layer of acrylic scales on the outside, then emitted a string of profanity that was about as obscene as I had ever heard. It went through, Ma guessed. Hewitt backed away from the window. How thick is that scale? When Pod didn't reply instantly, he cried, How thick is the plexiglass? How deep is the point? The exterior scales are 4 inches thick. Pod climbed off the toolbox. The spear penetrated less than an inch. It won't hold, Hewitt said miserably. It doesn't have to hold forever. Cheryl took him in her arms. Just till the Rangers. The 3-foot scale imploded with a splintering crash. The sea roared in through the opening, blasting us in every direction. So now this underwater part of the trade station is filling up with water from the outside. Oh my gosh! We're getting close. Now we're getting even closer to the climax. You can see how the tension keeps building. Tune in tomorrow and find out if they get away. Talk to you then. Stay healthy, stay safe, be kind to one another.